Yo, what is up, guys? Grim here. So today is day 4. Day 3 is just gone, and man, oh man, it was a tough one for me. Things just weren't going my team's way, and it was really bad. Chris has forsaken our team. He gave us a really good start, but he left us there on day 3. So I'll go into why it was so bad, but just in general, it was just a tough day as well. So in terms of my gear, I didn't get any upgrades. I was focusing purely on my atlas and trying to build up a shaped map pool so I could get into farming some serious heavy hitting currency. But that didn't happen. I don't have a shaped map pool and my atlas isn't complete like the way I want it to be. So I'm going to go into a few reasons why that is. Just to start off with, we did make quite a bit of money yesterday. In terms of how we did that, we did the Elder fight quite a few times. We got in presence and we got the amulet of one of the Elder Guardians, which we sold, and we sold a lot of maps, and that's how we got most of our currency going. And we've got obviously quite a decent amount now. We're on our way to the Headhunter. Um, Quickly, I'm gonna go over just briefly why I'm not wearing Magic Find gear. So Magic Find gear is excellent for things like farming currency and stuff like that. But right now, all of my money is coming from maps. So I don't want to invest a ton of currency into like Abiscos and stuff like that when all my money is purely coming from maps anyway. So I'm pretty sure I will be able to get to a Headhunter purely by selling Minotaur maps and stuff like that. That's my plan at least, to try and get one of these cheap headhunters while they're available, and then I'm gonna go and get the Biscos and stuff like that later. So yeah, I'm rushing for a headhunter right now. However, I've got some roadblocks in my way, as I just said before. Yesterday was a bad day for me, and we'll go into that now, why it was so bad. So, generally, I wanted to kind of progress my atlas in a way that would allow me to really take advantage of sextants in the new system. However, that's very difficult to do, and I'm going to go into that now why. So it's day 3. I rock up on the atlas, and I'm like, okay, I'm going to get this orb, this tier 16 orb. I start the day with 10 memory fragments over here, and I trigger the first Elder, and I want you guys to understand just how expensive it is to trigger the Elder on red maps. So each of these maps, these tier 14s and 15s, are worth 10 chaos plus. At the time of when I was doing it, tier 13s were about 5 chaos, and it was really expensive. So each of these attempts is around 100 to 150 C for me at least, early on in the league. However, that is offset a bit by the drops we get, obviously, but it's very expensive nonetheless. You're burning currency trying to do this. So the first one, I get him to trigger on all red maps and a couple of tier 15s here. So that was really good. I teamed up with my boss killer friend again, and we killed him, and we got 3 memory fragments in total from all of the guardians, and that was really excellent. I was happy with that. I was like, okay, that's fine. And then we go around again. So we've got our second wave of Elder now. And we do it again. So that's another massive chunk of currency I invested and another massive chunk of time. It takes about an hour and a half to 2 hours to get the Elder on all red maps, especially if he spawns somewhere like up here. It's really painful. So we do it again, and my Elder, like I plan to have my Elder land on a tier 15 to try and whack it out in 2, but he lands on a tier 14, which is a bit disappointing. So we kill him again, and we get the 14th memory fragment, which is where I am right now. And then I have to spend more currency and spend more time, and it was really bad this time. The third time he spawned up on dungeon, and he was really stubborn. I couldn't push him over here. I eventually did, obviously, but yeah, he was really stubborn. So the third time, we get him over there and we kind of trigger him, and this is what we have here. He lands on a tier 11 instead of a tier 15. Obviously, to get the 15th memory fragment, you need the Elder to land on a tier 15 map, which is super RNG, and I hate it. I really wish they would change that. But yeah, I got him to land on a tier 11. Really frustrating. I'm not going to do it again. It's so annoying. I will eventually do it, obviously, because you need that to unlock the last Sextant and the Elder Orb. But yeah, really, really super annoying that it didn't land on a tier 15. So that's why it was such a bad day. I spent so much currency on this, and for him not to land on a tier 15 is just devastating. I was hoping in the patch notes they said that the Elder would land on like one of your higher tier maps. However, that doesn't seem to be the case every time because obviously he just plomped his way right here on tier 11. And I had these all Elder influenced as well. So not great, not great at all. So I was like, okay, That's fine. I'm going to go into farming my maps now. I had quite a decent amount of sieges and vault to run, and I was looking forward to doing those. So we sextoned up siege and we jumped in there. I was putting bloodlines on every map, and it was really good. We went in there, we got a few Minotaur maps, which is partly why we have so much currency. We sold those off and we got a few sieges back and a few vaults, and that was really good. But eventually we ran out of shaped siege, and we obviously moved on to our shaped vaults. And this is where it got really bad. So we jumped into shaped vault. We had quite a few of them. Full sextants again. We had influence on there, ping ponging, as you can see here. We ran it, and it was quite low mob count. Someone in my party said, "Is this even sextoned? Did you forget to sexton it?" It didn't feel great at all. There wasn't a lot of monsters in there, in my opinion. That could just be how it felt, but yeah, it did feel quite anemic in there. There's that, and also I want to make a quick point about Vault is that there's not as many gold piles, and by not as many, I mean none of the ones up on the ledge are there anymore, and half of the ones in the main like section where the boss is are gone as well. So there's basically like 4 or 5, if that, gold piles left in the whole map. So the boss is nowhere near as good. Felt really bad running these actually, even with all the influence. I actually got no map returns. I think I got one maybe, and I had quite a few of them. So that was really bad. Again, Bloodline, Sextants, and Elder Influence, and Shaper Influence, obviously, but no returns there. So that kind of left me in the state I am now, where I don't really have a map pool, and I'm struggling to try and get another one. So not good. I will also say about Vault is I got no abandoned wealth cards. I got one hoarder. That definitely feels like a lot less hoarder. We were running with pretty much a full group for most of the maps, and we didn't get many hoarders. We got one, so that's kind of unimpressive. And obviously, I don't have like Vault shaped anymore, so it's not there anymore. So I got rid of that, and I'm moving on to a new strategy. Just going to talk a little bit about how I went about trying to rebuild my new map pool. So after I ran out of vaults and sieges, my idea was to run tier 13 maps and try and get +1 drops off them from things like Terrace, Park, and Desert Spring. So I was running them trying to get a +1 so I could get my tier 14 map pool back. That didn't happen though. I ran about 60 of them, and I got one shaped vault out of all of them. So I want to go into a bit why that is. So whenever I was running them, I was getting tier 14s to drop, like a lot of tier 14s as well, like probably a good 15 or 20 of them out of the 60 I got tier 14s. However, every single time they were Colosseum or whatever the adjacent map of the tier 13 is. I'm pretty much talking like 90% of the time or more, it's going to be the one that's adjacent to it. It felt terrible. I don't know why the chance to get it is so high, but yeah, if you've got an adjacent map which is connected to it, which is not completed, it's almost going to drop that all the time, every single time. So that's really annoying. You can't build a map pool like you used to be able to just by doing the lower tier of these red maps here. So that's really irritating. So I couldn't build up another map pool just by doing that. I would have had to do tier 14s, which are very expensive right now. They're 8 or 10C for a tier 14, and I just can't. I can't run that many tier 14s and try and just luck my way into Vault. So that was no longer an option. So I had to change my Atlas strategy, and I did do that. So that involved a lot of currency as well. I had to rip off all of my tier 13s to try and kind of go with a different strategy. So I did that. It cost me about 120 chaos of red sextants to rip off all the 13s. However, the reason I did this is so initially I was doing 14s and 15s, and that wasn't working for me. So I'm doing 13s, 14s, and 15s now. So I have Infested Valley, I have Estuary down here, and I have Siege. So I can run the tier 13s, and because they themselves are not complete, they can't have an adjacent map next to them to drop another one. So it's an equal chance to either drop itself or an infested valley for me. So I have a 50-50 chance of every T13 dropping to be an infested valley, which is much better for me than the abysmal chance I had to get a vault. And what that allows me to do is run infested valley when I get them. I've gotten a few so far. I think I've gotten 2 or 3 out of probably 15 maps. It's not great, but it's something. When I get them, it's just back to business as usual. So when you're running your shape map pool, you're going to have the same chance to get all the shape maps as you would normally. But getting the initial shape map pool is very, very difficult. It's hard, super hard, in fact. I think that they should look into that a little bit unless this is their intention. So yeah, that's why I'm doing that. Also, my reason for ripping off Vault is that with such a bad sustain right now, and in general, Vault is worse by a long shot. Um, I want influence to be on both my 14 and 15, and that isn't possible over here. So I can park my new Elder, which I'll be spawning today, over here in like Val Pyramid or something, and I'll have Elder on both Siege and Estuary, allowing me to get better sustain and hopefully get a map pool going, and so I can start selling off maps and stuff like that. So that's the plan. Another reason I took off Vault is I'm not going to end up with the 4 sextants. It's just not an option for me. I can't keep throwing currency and just trying to get Elder on a tier 15. I don't like that strategy at all. I'm not a big fan of the RNG involved with that. So I'm just going to roll with 3 sextants for now. And the whole advantage of Vault is that you can put 4 on there, whereas Estuary can only have 3. So by going Estuary, I'm not really losing anything. It's the Heterochromia card versus the Hoarder. Which one do you like more? Heterochromia is worth way more, but it's rarer. But Vault obviously is, in my opinion, one of the worst layouts for me, at least. I don't like it at all. The levers, the rooms, all that kind of stuff. So I really do like Estuary a lot more. It feels more dense, and I like the layout more. The boss is easier by a long shot, and I'm not losing any sextant coverage by going here. And also, I get the double Elder. So it seems like a bit of a no-brainer for me, and that's kind of why I did it. So in general, pretty good, making progress. Just need to get a map pool going, which is proving difficult. Played with a few of you guys from Discord. That's been really fun. Definitely check that out if you're looking for people to play with. A lot of people have posted that they're looking for other people to play with. So maybe just go through the list and whisper some people on Discord, and maybe you can get a group going. Everyone's got what server they're in and all that kind of stuff there, and that's how I've been finding people to play myself. I've been messaging people who are on the same server as me, and it's been really good. So I'll see you guys in probably tomorrow. Hopefully, I have a bit of a strategy whacked out for you guys to try and follow so that you guys can get into shape maps as well. But right now, it's not looking great. I'm going to be back to farming now, so I'll see you guys in the next one. Catch ya.